are talking now with Budget Committee Ranking Member, Missouri Congressman Jason Smith. Congressman, thanks very much for being here. So how much have taxpayers already paid for COVID? I know your colleagues are attempting to pass this long-stalled COVID-19 package before leaving Washington for a 2-week recess. What is your expectations of what gets done this week?
Maria, it's great to be with you. It's really hard to tell, but we are definitely north of $6 trillion that has been spent on COVID. There's roughly $400 billion that's out there from all these packages that has not been spent. It's hard to predict what's going to happen in Washington, D.C. There's always a new crisis every day. As you saw a week ago today, the president dropped the $73 trillion spending bill that just makes every crisis that much worse for all working class Americans.
Well, let's talk about that. Where do you get $73 trillion? I know that the president's $5.8 trillion budget is including hundreds of millions of dollars toward clean energy and its climate change. But let's go through some of the line items in this budget. I'm struck by the fact that there's a 20% increase in spending at the IRS and only a 4% increase in spending for defense, even as our adversaries are rising. And clearly, defense spending has been stalled for several years now. Give us your takeaway on what strikes you about that budget.
Yeah, Maria, this bill is the highest budget spending in the history of the United States. It's $73 trillion over 10 years until 2032. Wow. As you said, the increase to defense is 4%. However, inflation under Joe Biden right now is 8.9%. So that would cause a cut in defense. However, the EPA, it gets an increase of 25%. The IRS, like you said, 20%. It's madness, especially when the American people last year faced a $3,500 inflation tax, and they're projected this year to have a $5,200 inflation tax. This spending is only going to make their lives worse.
Well, it's just extraordinary to me because all of this spending has stoked inflation. The president keeps blaming what? Putin, COVID, oil companies, meat companies. But we have a timeline of inflation since Joe Biden walked into the White House, and it has spiked every couple of months because of this spending. He signed into law the $1.9 trillion COVID relief bill in March of 2021. Inflation went from 1.5% to 2.6%. By July of 2021, Democrats were proposing that $5 trillion spending plan, which they said was $3.9 trillion. Inflation spikes to 5.4%. By November 2021, Biden signs the $1 trillion infrastructure package. Inflation spikes to 6.8%. And then earlier this year, when Russia invades Ukraine, inflation spikes to 7.9%. So inflation has been moving on all of this spending, and yet the administration is coming out with a $73 trillion in more spending over the next 10 years. Do they not recognize the spending leads to inflation?
They apparently will do everything wrong. They don't have a touch with reality. They're trying to put a Band-Aid over an artery that's bleeding. This spending is only going to make everything worse. And then they talk about the high gas prices. What they're doing to domestic energy in this budget, Maria, is terrible. They're wanting to put a $45 billion tax on drilling and oil discovery in the United States, while gas prices are already up 79% since Joe Biden has become president. It's madness.
Well, the president has said that he's going to be releasing 180 million barrels from the U.S. Petroleum Reserve. That's his plan to lower gas prices. But I spoke with West Virginia Attorney General Patrick Morrisey yesterday on Sunday Morning Futures, and here's his assessment of that solution.
I think that President Biden's entire administrative policy from day one has been to put American energy last. It's really been Russia first, America last strategy. You saw that with canceling of the Keystone Pipeline. You saw that with respect to the moratorium on oil and gas drilling and coal mining. You saw that with respect to his climate change policy that seems to put all our foreign competitors first. He needs to get American energy roaring back by making certain regulatory decisions. And obviously, his decision earlier that he made about the Nord pipeline was one of the items that triggered Putin, that empowered Putin to do some of the things that he's done.
So, Jason, your thoughts. I want to bring in Joe Concha here. Joe, jump in.
Yeah, Jason, what stands out to me in this budget most, there's a lot of things that could stand out, and we probably would need 4 hours just to discuss it all, but $309 million for security at the U.S. border out of $5.4 trillion. I'm not very good at math, Congressman, but I believe that is a fraction of the overall budget. And now with Title 42 going to open up the floodgates even more down there, these border agents are going to be overwhelmed, and the federal government's basically saying, you're on your own, given how little money they're being given out of this budget.
Joe, you're hitting a very valid point. A lot of people's not talking about this. But if you would take out the $3 billion that they have proposed in Department of Homeland Security that are strictly for Green New Deal policies, you would see a cut of $600 million, a cut of $600 million to Homeland, $150 million directly to ICE and the Border Patrol. It's absolutely madness. In this budget, border security is mentioned 0 times, but climate crisis, 33 times. You know, Nancy Pelosi always said a budget is a statement of your values. They do not value protecting the southern border. I asked the question last week, what about the $1.9 billion that was passed in the omnibus bill to build the wall? What are you using that for? They said environmental regulations, community consulting. Give me a break. They don't care about securing the border. It's all about promoting their environmental agenda.
Wow, that's just incredible. And of course, we saw the Securities and Exchange Commission the other day come out with new rules for all public companies to abide by in terms of disclosing emissions. That's going to be a lot more costs for companies. But the only question that needs to be asked, Congressman, is whether or not this budget gets through. What are your thoughts? This is Biden's proposal. Where does it go from here?
Absolutely. I don't think that the chairman of the House Budget Committee or even the chairman of the Senate Budget Committee realistically believes that this budget will get through. If you recall, the last budget was only pushed through as a one sentence back last August, September, just to be able to use the tool of reconciliation to be able to try to push through the $5 trillion build back broke, as I refer to it. They still have that reconciliation out there hanging because Joe Manchin basically said no to it. So they have no reason to pass this budget. You would think that they would, but no. But this budget reaffirms all the policies that they've implemented for the last 15 months, saying that they support those decisions, which have only hurt working class Americans.
Well, we certainly have seen bad policy result in bad outcomes in a lot of areas of this country. We haven't even discussed crime. Congressman, it's good to see you. Thanks very much. We'll be watching where this goes next. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Maria.
Congressman Jason Smith. We'll be right back. Stay with us.